You ever hear a sound so familiar it stops meaning anything? That was Annie's voice. Soft, sweet, like a vinyl record playing in the next room. Comfortable, but just far enough away that you miss the cracks. We met at a laundromat in Denton, Texas. My change machine jammed. She offered me quarters and a smile that carried more confidence than any law student should have had. I remember thinking, this girl doesn't lose. We got married 2 years later. I worked in surveillance for a private security firm, boring most days. Cameras, timestamps, patterns. I noticed things most people missed, which is probably why it hit me the way it did when I started noticing her. Annie used to hum in the kitchen. She hadn't done that in months. Used to bite her lip when she was concentrating on crossword puzzles. Suddenly, she was glued to her phone, scrolling, half present. The change was slow, like a radio drifting out of signal. At first, I thought it was work stress. Her new job at the DA's office was intense. Long hours, trial prep, late nights. But the lies were too smooth. Client consult, going over motions, working from the apartment tonight. Only we didn't have an apartment. Her firm leased a crash unit for employees, shared space, professional, clinical. She said it was temporary. I trusted her. Until one night, I drove past it after work. No lights on, no car in the lot. But she said she was there. I didn't react. I recorded the time, took a photo, then drove home. She walked in 45 minutes later, hair freshly washed, makeup perfect. Said she brought takeout from the Thai place we used to love. The one she hadn't mentioned in 6 months. That was the moment I knew. Annie wasn't distracted. She was rehearsed. I didn't confront her. I copied her key instead. She used an old passcode for everything. Her brother's birthday. One night while she was sleeping, I accessed her tablet. Synced her iCloud to a hidden drive. And there it was. Photos. Voicemails. Messages so explicit they made me feel like a stranger in my own life. The man's name was Kellen. A defense attorney. Of course. Tall. Rich. Charismatic. Everything I wasn't trying to be, because I thought love didn't keep score. Turns out, Annie did. They'd been meeting in hotels under fake names. She chose Celia. He used Derek. They used legalese as code. She told him I was checked out. Said I didn't challenge her. Said our marriage was comfortable, but dead. That was rich, coming from the woman who couldn't finish a movie without asking what happened every 10 minutes. But it wasn't the sex that killed me. It was the laughter. The way she laughed in her voicemails to him. Free. Wild. Like I never got the real version of her. So I started making a plan. Not a firestorm. Not a fight. I wasn't going to destroy her. I was going to expose her. I was going to make her see herself. Clearly, completely, and with no one left to clap for the performance. Annie had no idea I knew. She still smiled the same way in the morning. Still called me babe when she asked me to take out the trash. Still wore the robe I got her for our anniversary while texting the man she said understood her darkness. I didn't smash her phone. Didn't scream. I started small. First, I created a burner phone. Cheap, untraceable, prepaid. I programmed it with a contact called Client, Red County. Sent a single message. Did Annie tell you she married the man who builds surveillance systems for a living? Probably something you should both keep in mind. I timed it for 11:43 p.m., just after their usual post-hookup texts. Next morning, Annie looked rattled. Coffee untouched. Phone in hand. She didn't mention it, but I could see her thumb hovering over the screen like it was a detonator. I didn't ask. I kissed her forehead and left for work. Later that day, I dug deeper. I hacked into the city courthouse document database, a privilege my company granted me under strict conditions. I bent them. Not broke. I found Kellen's upcoming trial docket. Sexual assault defense. High profile. One misstep in his public image and his career would implode. So I collected their messages. Especially the ones where she joked about him using legal intimidation like foreplay. Classy. Then I emailed myself as an anonymous tipster. Check Kellen Wright's private conduct. If he treats legal boundaries like bedroom roleplay, should he be trusted with real ones? Attached, screenshots. Dates. Their hotel receipts, made on the same weekends he was in court defending integrity. I didn't leak them. Yet. I wanted to test the water first. A week later, Kellen's firm quietly pulled him off 2 sensitive cases. Conflict of interest. The whisper campaign had started. Annie noticed. He's distracted lately, she said one night, poking at her salad. I shrugged. Probably stretched thin. That kind of job takes a toll. She nodded but looked off, like something was already decaying beneath her skin. That weekend, I planted the second seed. I sent a handwritten letter to her boss, just 4 lines. If Annie is using firm travel allowances for personal hookups, it's not just immoral. It's illegal. Ask her about room 318 at the Stonehill Inn. March 14th. She used the corporate card. I signed it a citizen who respects the law. They did their own digging. 2 weeks later, Annie got called into an internal review. I know because I cloned her calendar. She came home pale, said it was a routine audit. I nodded. We all get audited eventually. Now came the trickiest part, isolating her emotionally. Her best friend, Madeline, had always been her backup ego. Loyal, ride or die, easily manipulated. But she also loved evidence. And I had evidence. I forwarded her one of Annie's audio messages to Kellen, moaning his name. Sent from a new email with a fake name. Subject line. Still think she's only yours? Madeline ghosted Annie within 48 hours. When Annie asked if I'd noticed anything off with Maddie lately, I said, maybe she finally heard something true. That night, Annie drank 3 glasses of wine alone. I could hear her crying in the bathroom. I didn't get up, because her tears weren't for me. They were for her reflection cracking in real time. Still, she hadn't broken. Not yet. So I gave her the final twist. On her birthday, I planned a dinner. Just us. Her favorite restaurant. White tablecloths, candles, the works. She looked radiant. Nervous. Maybe even hopeful. Thought I was about to win her back. I waited until dessert. Then slid a small velvet box across the table. Her eyes widened. She opened it slowly. Inside? A flash drive. She blinked. What's this? I leaned in. Everything you did. Everyone you did. Every lie you fed me while wearing that robe. Her smile collapsed. Her throat worked to form words. None came. I stood. Dropped a folded document on the table. Divorce papers. Filed. Signed. With a post-it that read, "You can keep the house. I'm done cleaning up after your ghosts." I walked out. Didn't look back. Because revenge isn't rage. It's release. It's watching the person who thought they were leading the story realize they were just a subplot in yours. And Annie? Annie had a front row seat to her own undoing. Annie didn't show up to the house for 3 days after the restaurant. I had moved into a short-term rental by then, 2-bedroom unit, bare walls, quiet neighbors. Peaceful in the way a motel room feels after an argument you didn't start but finally walked away from. The silence wasn't awkward. It was earned. She sent a dozen texts. No rage. Just regret dressed as vulnerability. Please, let's talk. You were always my home. I don't even recognize myself. That last one? It was the only honest thing she said in months. Meanwhile, her life began unraveling faster than she could stitch it up. The firm suspended her. Pending investigation. That little birthday gift, flash drive plus timestamped receipts, worked better than I planned. I had sent a copy directly to HR anonymously. Attached, a 1-line message. Not a grievance. Just a glimpse. I included hotel dates tied to firm cards, transcripts of her emails sent while on official case duty, and a brief note about conflict of interest involving opposing counsel. Kellen. Oh, poor Kellen. His name leaked into a local legal forum, tagged in a thread titled, "Do defense attorneys get to play God in bed too?" I hadn't even posted it. Someone else took care of that. But the screenshots? Those were mine. Forwarded to a paralegal who loathed him and always smelled blood. His practice partner issued a press release 3 days later. Kellen Wright is no longer affiliated with our firm. That was Annie's entire fantasy gone. The man she threw away her marriage for? Didn't even call her after his fallout. How do I know? Because I watched her sit in her car outside our house for 2 hours one night, staring at her phone. Crying. Not calling anyone. No one to call. See, the thing about someone like Annie is they never prepare for silence.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing experience, but we really need your support, namely a subscription to the channel, which can make it possible to hire a professional voice actor and make the best content for you.
They know how to lie, perform, and twist emotion like a silk scarf around your throat, but they can't handle quiet accountability. That's what I gave her. Still, I wasn't cruel. I didn't torch her reputation. I just flipped the lights on and walked out. I sent one final email to her father, Jack. He'd always loved me. Thought I was solid. His words, not mine. He deserved to know why his daughter's marriage collapsed. So I told him. Factually. Without venom. Dates. Photos. Context. Not to shame her. just to explain why he wouldn't be seeing me at Thanksgiving this year. He didn't reply. But 2 days later, Annie called me sobbing at 2 a.m. I didn't think he'd hate me, she said. He doesn't hate you, I said. He just finally saw what I couldn't afford to keep forgiving. Click. The thing is, revenge was never the goal. It was truth. But sometimes, the truth feels like revenge when all someone ever offered you was illusion. I moved on. Not fast. Not dramatically. Just forward. I deleted every photo of her. Tossed the wedding album in the recycling. Sold the ring. With the money, I booked a trip to Oregon. Took 2 weeks off. Rented a cabin. Fished. Read. Slept for 9 hours a night. No noise. No lies. Just me. Breathing again. I met someone there, briefly. A bartender named Lex. She had sharp eyes and didn't ask too many questions. We spent 3 nights together. No promises. Just space to exist beside someone who didn't look at me like a placeholder. When I came back to Texas, I was ready. Not for her. For me. I changed my number. Finalized the divorce. Blocked every remnant. And on the day it became official, Annie sent one last email. Subject line. I hope one day you'll forgive me. I didn't open it. Didn't need to. Because by then, I'd already forgiven myself for loving someone who couldn't even love herself without performing it. There's a difference between moving on and moving through. Most people rush to rebuild. They find someone new. Change their look. Post motivational quotes like emotional bumper stickers. Annie tried that. For about 2 weeks. She created a new Instagram. New handle. New filter. Posted a photo of a lake with the caption, "Still water runs deep. Rebirth begins in silence." Then 3 days later deleted it all again. She wasn't reborn. She was unraveling, publicly, privately, all at once. Meanwhile, I didn't post a thing. My silence said everything. People around town stopped asking. The mutual friends picked their sides. Most chose mine, not because I asked them to, but because truth doesn't beg for validation. One of her old friends, Erin, reached out. Did she really cheat with 3 guys? I just replied, she cheated with lies. The bodies were optional. She never messaged again. Good. Because I wasn't interested in gossip. I was building a life so stable, even the echoes of her couldn't shake it. I took a part-time teaching job, intro to cybersecurity at the local community college. It felt good, showing young minds how to protect themselves in a world that profits off their ignorance. There was power in teaching people how to see, really see. It was what I hadn't done with Annie soon enough. But that's the gift of pain. It makes you better if you let it break the right things. I changed routines. No more folding laundry in silence, waiting for her to lie to my face. No more checking her location and pretending I was just curious. No more picking out wine she liked, hoping it would remind her why she chose me. Now I bought what I wanted. Listened to music she hated. Painted the walls the color she once said felt too cold. I wanted it cold, because I'd spent too long in the illusion of warmth. Then something strange happened. I stopped missing her. Not slowly. Not in pieces. It was like my nervous system finally realized it was safe to let her go, and the part of me still holding space for her just dissolved. She showed up one more time. 3 months post-divorce. Gray hoodie. Hair back. Eyes red, but not from crying. From emptiness. "Carter," she said softly. I leaned on the doorframe. "You're lucky I don't believe in revenge anymore." She winced. "I'm not here to fight," she said. "I just wanted to say I understand now." "That makes one of us," I said. "Because I still don't understand why you set fire to someone who only ever gave you shelter." She opened her mouth. I held up my hand. "It doesn't matter. You don't owe me closure." I gave that to myself. Her voice cracked. "I'm not okay." I nodded. "That's between you and your conscience. Not my problem anymore." She looked down. "You were always too good to me." "No," I corrected. "I was just the first man you couldn't break." Then I closed the door and felt nothing. Not triumph. Not bitterness. Just clarity. Because revenge isn't a dramatic act. It's walking away whole, while they realize they never were. There's something strange about freedom, how still it is. Not quiet like loneliness. Still like peace. I started waking up before my alarm. Not from anxiety. Just calm. No thoughts of her phone buzzing at midnight. No wondering which hotel was hosting her client consult. Just morning light and a kitchen that didn't lie. That was the beginning of the new chapter. Her name was Mia. We met at a volunteer food drive. No dating apps. No rehearsed banter. She wore paint-splattered jeans and didn't ask me what I did for a living until our second conversation. I liked that. She wasn't interested in resumes. She noticed how I listened. I told her I'd been through a divorce. Didn't dodge it. Didn't dramatize it. Just said she loved the version of me that didn't exist, and I loved the version of her I was never meant to keep. Mia nodded. That's more honest than most people ever get. We took it slow. No pressure. No games. She didn't flinch when I told her I used to track my ex's locations before I admitted to myself she was cheating. She just said, that kind of paranoia doesn't come from nowhere. With Mia, everything felt light. Not empty, unburdened. She didn't need saving, and I didn't need fixing. We shared space instead of filling it. By the time 6 months had passed, I realized I hadn't said Annie's name aloud in weeks. The anger was gone. The disgust too. What was left was just absence. No ache. No longing. Just a cleared-out corner of my soul that used to be heavy. One afternoon, Mia asked me, "Do you ever miss her?" I didn't hesitate. No. I missed the idea of who I thought she was. But the reality? I wouldn't trade you for 100 chances at that lie. She smiled, soft and sure. That's the only right answer. That night, we sat on my porch, legs tangled, the air warm with summer stillness. I said something I'd never thought I'd say again. I trust you. And I meant it. Not because I was healed, but because I had stopped blaming myself for being wounded. The next morning, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. But I knew the handwriting. Annie. It wasn't venomous. Just 5 pages of unprocessed guilt, thinly disguised as insight. She talked about therapy, about self-work, about how I'll never forgive myself for losing you. I didn't finish it, because some people don't write to apologize. They write to reinsert themselves. I folded the letter, walked to the fire pit, and burned it without a second thought. Not out of hatred, out of respect for what I'd built since. Because real peace doesn't entertain echoes. And Annie? She was just background noise now. It's strange what you remember after everything burns down. The small things. The way her toothbrush leaned against mine. How she always left cabinet doors half open. The silence right before she lied. But those memories don't sting anymore. They don't echo. They just exist. Artifacts of a life I outgrew. Because what Annie never understood, and what I learned the hard way, is that love isn't proven by how much you forgive. It's proven by how much you refuse to let yourself be erased. And I almost let her erase me. Not in obvious ways, but in quiet, daily ones. I let her minimize my voice, question my instincts, rewrite her betrayals as misunderstandings. That's the thing about liars. They don't just break your trust. They reshape your reality. Until one day, you wake up wondering if you're the crazy one for noticing. But now I trust my gut again. I listen to the silence. If it's off, I check the wiring. I don't explain it away. I don't chase validation. And I don't accept performances. Mia and I still take it slow. We've talked about moving in together, but neither of us is in a rush. We enjoy the space we've built, honest, warm, uncurated. Sometimes, when I cook, she'll lean against the counter and just watch me. No commentary. No pretending. Just presence. And that's how I know I've healed. Because I don't need loud love. I need real. Annie tried to reach out one final time. A voicemail after 8 months of silence. Her voice sounded different. Dull. Weathered. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who sees you. I still dream about you sometimes. I deleted it halfway through. Not to be cruel, but because I didn't need the reminder. I'd already found what she never gave me. Peace without a price. The kind of peace that doesn't need witnesses. No applause. No vengeance speech. Just the quiet, powerful satisfaction of walking away with your integrity intact while they sit in the ruins of their illusion, wondering how the story flipped without warning. That's what true revenge is. It's not destruction. It's the absence of regret. It's building something better while they're still trying to salvage something fake. And me? I built a life without her name in the foundation. No ghosts in the room. Just breath, space, and light.